Hi, Will.
Hey,
Yeah, good morning.
good morning. Back for part three.
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear what are the next three controls. Um, let's remind our audience what were the first six. So asset management, the first one. Then security awareness training. Number three is antivirus or EDR. Number four, backups. Number five, separate accounts. And number six, multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
And number seven.
Number seven, I would put email security.
Oh,
So, as we start protecting and we start layering these on, you know, uh, I've gotten the question 1,000 times. It's, well, why should I worry about what I'm clicking on? You should be protecting me from that. So, a lot of times I have to say I agree. So I think an effective email security, program is that next level. And, we put antivirus EDR kind of early on. We look at email security and, it's kind of doing that same thing, but for the messages coming in.
yeah, but we still need security training, so it's not as effective as your brain, I guess. It's not exactly
Right.
like you.
Right. But, the email security space has come a long way. Used to it was, we'll scan every attachment for a virus, the signature based scan, and then we'll look at all URLs and then we'll rank them to say, okay, is this website a new website? Is it a known bad website? But that's gotten more difficult, as cloud has evolved. These links are getting, harder to handle. When you see something come in that says, like Azure, space, or you name it. It's like, well, we can't block that because we'll be blocking a lot of services from Microsoft. So the email security has had to evolve, and so I would definitely put this though as that next control that's a must have. um, we look at the almost all security incidents nowadays start in email.
Yeah,
And so
what we call phishing.
I would say it's not just phishing though. Phishing is like casting a wide net. It's the reason we call it phishing is, we're throwing a wide net. We're sending out 10,000 emails, hoping one person clicks. Um, but we look at phishing and we say, there's the very easy thing. People have been used to spam emails for years. They'll get a message in saying, hey, buy this product, or we see you did this on LinkedIn, right? Your company's doing awesome, let's talk. All of these things are really like a wide net. They're sending this out to a lot of people and they're hoping someone clicks on it. I would say, your email security solution, even the ones included with your Microsoft subscription or Google, if configured properly, will cover probably 80% of that.
Hmm.
Right. Now, but as we look at email security, it's the more sophisticated things. It's the full brand impersonation or the CEO fraud. Someone sending an email, they know your name, they know you're the CEO, and they're trying to get someone in the company to do something like buy gift cards, or, the CEO's in an important meeting. Can you do this task for me right now? No one wants to get on the CEO's bad side. So, a lot of those things are getting through these spam filters. And so, that effective security on the email side, that has evolved to the point to where, now these email security solutions can look at things like brand impersonation, right? So this picture looks like a Microsoft logo, but it's not, or it's a copy. they're interpreting the tone of the email to say that, hey, this is asking for an immediate action. It's got the CEO's name, but the CEO has never sent an email from this address. And so it's doing these risk-based email calculations to say this is spam or this is a phish. So the email security has definitely evolved, and this is that first line of defense, right? So for every message is coming in, it's getting examined up front. Some of the email solutions will go back in retroactive, and if something's now bad, it'll go back in and pull it out of the inbox. But definitely, email protection is this next must-have.
Great. So this was number 8.
It's number 8.
No, it was number 7. Now it's number 8. Yes. Yeah. So go ahead, Will. What is number 8?
So number 8, I'm going to say VPN, but I'm going to kind of preface that the VPN can mean so many different things, right? So we're now to where we have VPN, we have Zero Trust Network Access, or ZTNA. We have SASE, or Secure Access Service Edge. The biggest thing is this is that network protection on the endpoint, that when the employee is traveling, or they're out at the coffee shop, or they're at the airport, this is going to protect them. They're on these public networks. And so, we can look at VPN can mean I'm VPNing back to the office. And all of these solutions, VPN ZTNA, SASE, all of these things, all can do that. But ultimately, the protection that we're talking about is creating this private network so that what we're doing within this network session is secure.
Yeah. And what is the difference between the VPN and the zero access and the SASE?
Well,
one of them.
I would say marketing. It's evolved so much that Zero Trust has been huge for a couple of years now, but ultimately, I would say historically VPN was, I've got a client, I'm VPNing to a firewall that's back at the office, and I'm connecting to my office, and then all my internet traffic's going to the office.
Yeah.
But then it was, when COVID hit, it was, well, I don't have the internet pipe, or my firewalls aren't fast enough to handle all my users being remote. So, other technologies started really ramping up. And, so we look at Zero Trust Network Access, that's typically a cloud solution. And so I'm VPNing into the cloud, and that cloud will get me directly to the internet, but it can also get me back to the corporate office. So now my internet traffic is not routed through and limited by my corporate bandwidth at my office. And it's the same with SASE, just different ways they're doing it. Like I said, the difference is marketing. But ultimately, whether you have an office, people would say, well, you can't VPN if you don't have a firewall. Why didn't you put firewall in the first 7? Well, you can get this, these protections without having an office and without having a firewall. And so, that's why I think this is more important. And if I'm starting from scratch, I want to do the modern technology because there's other protections there.
Yeah, great. So it's we hear about zero access, and we hear about VPN, but still not talking about firewall. So maybe the next episode.
Yeah, I do have it on the list, but it's further down.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So what is the next one? The number 9.
Yeah. So number 9, I'm going to put vulnerability management, right? And this is, in the IT space, we call it patch management. Cyber, we call it vulnerability management. But ultimately, it's looking and saying, okay, here are the vulnerabilities that we have in the software we use, or in the operating systems we use, Windows, Mac. But the vulnerabilities, these vendors are putting out these fixes, these patches. that need to be applied. And these vulnerabilities are what the threat actors are using to exploit the system, to break in. So the more we go in and we do a vulnerability program and a patch program, the more secure we're going to get.
Yeah, so vulnerability comes with patch management. And
It
this is like a race. You have vulnerabilities, you need to patch if you can patch it. And I guess it's not so, maybe it's more easy to find the vulnerabilities, but sometimes it's more complicated to implement the patches or understand how to reduce vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. Right. So vulnerability management, we're scanning. We sometimes we have an agent on an endpoint that is listing the vulnerabilities because it's there. It knows real time. Sometimes we have to scan a network to find these vulnerabilities. But these vulnerabilities, there's a global database of vulnerabilities, and those are the ones we know about. Ultimately, we know about vulnerabilities only when some security researcher, bubbles it up and says, "Hey, here's a vulnerability," and the vendor's like, "Oh, okay." So then we get a vulnerability. But vulnerabilities exist whether we know about them or not. So the idea is to get that visibility, and a vulnerability management program, or vulnerability management is, we're looking for these vulnerabilities, then we're ranking them on what is more critical and what is more critical to the business, right? And we got that answer based on our asset inventory early on. And so we know which assets are more critical. So those vulnerabilities might be ranked a little higher that we need to take care of. And then the fix of that is patching. So you do have to patch the vulnerability, but a lot of vulnerabilities don't have patches yet. So we're looking at vendors that have hardware that the patch needs to be a firmware update, and they haven't written firmware, or that hardware has been end of life for 5 years and we're still using it.
Yeah, so actually management of vulnerabilities means that first you should identify vulnerabilities. Then you have to assess it and to understand what is critical and what is relevant to your company, and then to implement other methods to handle those vulnerabilities. And actually manage means that decide what to do and what not to do.
Well, and I would say the step just before that is to prioritize them.
Yeah.
So, but and I've had this discussion. If you have a Windows 7 machine that's got 10,000 vulnerabilities, but it is sitting in a closet with a door not connected to the internet, do any of those vulnerabilities matter?
Mm.
So this Windows 7 machine connected to a CNC machine at a manufacturer, for this old piece of equipment, they still make these widgets. That machine can have 10,000 vulnerabilities, but if it's not connected to the network, not connected to the internet, do those vulnerabilities matter? Right. And so, that's where that is going to be ranked completely different than the same machine plugged in to where it can get to the internet, and we use that workstation every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where that vulnerability ranking comes in, and you have to decide what is business critical, what needs to be done, what can't be done. But yeah, that's all a part of that vulnerability management program.
So we talked about email security. We talked about VPN and the other marketing terms to zero access. And we talked about patches and vulnerability management. So we covered 9 out of 12, and looking forward to talking with you very soon about the last 3 controls. So we know everything we need, or almost everything, in order to be better secured.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.